Good morning, everyone. Thank you to be here on the day 3 of DrupalCon, and you're all party survivors. I can see it on your face, the one that survived the party from yesterday. So thank you for being here, and today we want to share with you a use case about the UNESCO, how the UNESCO built and now runs a web factory, and how we managed to do this. Technically and methodologically, and we'll talk about the future of this web factory. First of all, let's introduce ourselves. Denis from UNESCO, who is a web architect from UNESCO, was supposed to be there, but he has COVID, so he didn't come to Lille. So we're gonna do our best to make the things shine like UNESCO. Me, I'm Sylvain Moreau from Access. I'm the CSO. I'm the founder of an agency in 2001, and today is my 10th anniversary as a DrupalCon speaker. I was speaking in Prague in 2013, so I'm very glad to be here to speak again. It's really an honor. And maybe Jean wants to introduce himself.
Yes, so I'm Jean Fenouil. I'm the technical project manager and the tech lead on UNESCO.
What will be covered in this session? First, we will introduce ourselves. Then we will talk about what was there before the redesign, and we talk about the risk and the challenge, how we made it, see some insights about how we made it technically in terms of design. We talk about KPIs, about results, what is there since the new UNESCO.org launched, and talked about the future, how we are going to handle the production of new websites with UNESCO. So let's introduce ourselves. First of all, what is UNESCO? UNESCO, we can now hear talking in these times of conflicts. UNESCO was built after the Second War to prevent wars by bringing education and culture to everyone. So I won't belong on this one. And if you want to remember some key figures, you have 194 members. It was 193, but there was this thing with the United States that were out and now they are in again because they paid. More than 2,000 members from 168 nationalities, so it's like the Babel Tower, but a good one. You have a $600 million biannual budget. What is really nice is that the UNESCO is protecting 10 million of square kilometers. You have biosphere reserves, geoparks, and 250 million people are living there. So it's really an impact on the planet that does UNESCO. And there's also all these 500,000 people, children benefiting from educational program. So it's really a nice action all over the world. And you also have more than 10,000 associated schools, and it's the educational part of UNESCO. So I'm sorry, Denis from UNESCO was supposed to be doing that. He's doing that better, but I hope that everyone here knows UNESCO and knows how it brings education and culture to the people around the world. And I'll talk briefly about Access. I founded this agency in 2001. We've been doing Drupal since 2006, version 4.6. First one was introducing CCK. I think, who did CCK in this? Nice. And we are a sponsor, we are proud to be a sponsor for DrupalCon Lille. Come and stop at booth 2. We have lots of goodies, a lot of swags, and we have 15 wonderful people being able to talk to you, to share experiences, so don't hesitate to come and see us. And we are 26 developers, we are 42, and we take care from our customer from D0. We have a UX, UI design people. We work with maintenance, SEO, SEA, analytics. We all do this in-house because we are part of a bigger group. And our customers are public institutions, cultural institutions, museums, big NGOs like WWF, and other big private companies. So let's talk about the challenge. We have to remember that there was nothing in terms of Web Factory and in terms of Drupal in 2019. So what was there was diversity and complexity. It has been 15 years since UNESCO tech people started building websites, and there were all these kind of technologies. So obviously Drupal 7, 8, but Typo3, ACP, there was Code Fusion sites, there were Django and Python sites, custom PHP, custom Java. It was really a mess. You have also the diversity of the audience, because every website had to address some target, and it was really diverse. So how could we change this? The idea that was set up was to create a multi-site platform in order to prevent technical debt and obsolescence. We had to update the technology stack to be up to date in terms of security, but also to simplify updates, because updates on all this previous ecosystem would take days. You had like dozens of technologies to maintain. And most of all, you had to know that when you were on a UNESCO website, you can feel the graphic coherence and the ergonomic one. So this was really a challenge. We also had to enable data cross-reference, because as you will see, there are millions and millions of contents that had to be shared between sites. Reduce the number of websites. 200 is too much, even for UNESCO. And after that, build some migrate and archive strategies. We have these 200 websites. We need to reduce the number of them, and how can we migrate them, and how can we cut them? And another risk and challenge was to train and help site contributors. They are all over the world, and we need to train them. And for that, you don't need one partner, but you need to rely on multiple partners, and how can you onboard these partners on a reliable base? So to remind you of the figures, 200 websites, almost 200 websites, 23 million contents. That means a lot of content to share, to publish, and to migrate. 12 languages, including some special ones, and only 15 months, 20 months to do that. So the challenges was to design this multi-site technical design. We needed at least 8 site profiles to migrate everything, every site for the UNESCO. We needed to design multilingual site, because you have 6 official languages at the UNESCO, including R2L languages like Arabic, or non-Indo-European languages like Chinese or Russian. So this was really a stakes for technical stakes and design stakes. The pace was really important. How can we handle millions of contents and migrate them into new sites? There was also this stake and challenge to have a single back office for contributors to contribute only in one place. And then after that, the content, they need to be shared and between websites. So there has to be a lot of communication between websites. Lots of volume of data, 23 millions. And also the real challenge was to communicate with every part of the web ecosystem of the UNESCO. That means term store, which stores every single term for documentation. The EDM, UNESCO, Enterprise Data Management. We have to interface with open data, with transparency portal. The SSO, Azure Active Directory. We have to handle all the structured data stuff with Strapi. All the events managing, which is a custom development named Gmeet. And we have also to to index and search on every content with Apache Solar. And all that being part of a design system and to be hosted in the UNESCO data center, which also was a challenge. So how we made it? Now we've talked about the risk and challenge. We need to know how we made it. In terms of planning, of schedule, it started in June 2019. UNESCO did a consulting mission with Smile. I think you know Smile, they're here, also a sponsor. And this consulting mission led to the production of a RFP. The main document of the RFP was a big backlog with 200 lines with every single functionality that was needed for this web factory. The requirements of the RFP were listed. And then after that, we answered that RFP. There was negotiation for 3 or 4 months because it was a really big RFP. And then in August 2020, we launched the project and we were able to launch the first site on 2021. So that's like 8 months. It's really short for that kind of stuff because you will see that behind the web factory there is a lot of work. And then on September we launched 2 more websites. And the real #1 goal of this project was to launch the UNESCO.org website, and we did it in May 2022. So I will hand it to Jean. He will talk more about the team and the technical challenge.
Hi. So for the team on the project, there was 1 project director, 1 UX designer, 1 UI designer, 1 technical project manager, 1 technical code architect, full-time backend developers, and 2 full-time front-end developers. And a special dedicated to the architect that you know, it was Franck de Roche. And the UNESCO team, there was 1 project director, 1 web architect and a developer, 1 project coordinator, 1 editor coordinator, and 1 project from Smile. So the first requirement, it was to have UNESCO.org out of the 75th anniversary. So it was 9 November 2021. For that, we had 1 big backlog, and we had to adopt a semi-agile methodology. So the methodology was to have 1 design phase about the 5th month to review and refine the backlog and produce some specification and produce the design system. After that, there was the development phase, so 15 months with 5 sprints and milestone for each sprint to have reviews until UNESCO.org release. And after that, there was 6 other sprints for other websites based on other profile. So all along the project, in conception and after on development phase until the end, there was 20 technical workshops during all phases to refine and produce technical specification and review some specification. So for that, there was a single design system needed for the new UNESCO website based on Drupal. But it's not only for new external websites, it's also for all the websites like WHC. We work with our long-term partner, thanks to Data GIF, who has made a great design and led the UX UI phase with UNESCO. For this, they produced 2 or 3 tools. So 2 separate Figma, 1 for the components and 1 for the template, because it was needed to have a bootstrap-based theme. So there was 2 Figma, 1 for the component and 1 for the assembly to produce the final page. And after that, a big documentation, about 100 pages, to define the behaviors on the page. So yes, you have a bootstrap-like website that you can see by clicking on the link after the presentation when you will download it. And it's online, so in www.unesco.org. And there is also code example when you click on each port.
And to zoom on how we did it methodologically, let's say this word, there was an initial audit because for the RFP, the UNESCO, they already did produce wireframes, so this was audited by DataGIF, and then they did 3 UX workshops. The first one being the audit presentation, and then I did against this audit presentation. There was the second workshop, which was a card sorting one on sitemap, user journeys, and navigation. And this led to the third workshop presenting the new wireframes and refining them. After that, then we could go through the UI design phase with a creation of a general design matrix that led to design sprints, many design sprints, and then they iterate on design and they built up the design system. And finally, after that, there was a long verification phase to see if the design phase matched all the user journeys. This was very important because the user on the UNESCO website, they don't have to get lost, they immediately know where they are. And there was also this verification against the site creation scenario, because remember that this is a Web Factory project, so you have to think about how we will create the site and how we will pick up all the design elements before creating the site. And finally, this was finalized in the document Bootstrap design system that you can see. So you can see the results and the iterations against that. Every single component, every single element is designed in every place and every color, and it handles all the fonts. And you see this atomic design system and the Bootstrap-like system that you can test, and you will see that on each element, like Jean said, if you click on it, you have a Bootstrap code that can be used in Drupal, but in any place. And now let's talk about technical specs.
Yeah, so now we are in Drupal 10. So you have the choice to have a multi-site installation, and we are using it on development environment. But in production, it's a lot of single websites. And you have 8 installation profiles. So not all profiles are designed to have multiple instances. For example, you have a UNESCO, so you have only one UNESCO.org. But you have the article platform, which is used to contribute articles and to share to other websites. So there is only one. But you have many reports, because there is a lot of documentation and website to talk about documentation. Multiple initiative, multiple institute, multiple campaign websites, and only one UNESCO media library, so that's why UML, and only one web form profile that embed all the form that will be embedded in other websites through iframes. So we had a versioning strategy with one main GitLab repository, and for each website it was one fork repository, but everything is synchronized, so when we push on the main repository, if there is no big divergence, so the modification will be applied to other forked repository. For that, we're working on continuous integration with GitLab CI, and to optimize it, and to optimize the speed of the deployment. So we have shared artifacts from the build that are fit to all other forked repositories that haven't many divergences. And also for the server configuration, you have Ansible, and we're using GitLab CI pipelines for the deployments. So the hosting infrastructure is mainly composed with 3 backend servers sharing a file system with NFS, 1 load balancer in front of that, and 3 various reverse proxy. For the database, we have 2 Galera MySQL clusters with master and slave. And because there is a lot of functionality of such, and I will detail about it later, you have 3 Solar shards from Solar Cloud. And obviously, for the memory cache, you need to have a solid one, so 1 Redis.
And as we said before, it is hosted in the UNESCO data center, so the UNESCO does all the hosting and maintaining of that. But if you zoom on this infrastructure, you can see on the left the big picture with the F5 load balancer, which is in front of that. And then you have this zone A and zone B, which handles all the web servers. They are zoomed over there, so you can see the load balancing, the reverse proxies, the SQL servers that are master slaves. And then you have this zone C, which handles the solar cloud. This is solar load balancing and with shared solar servers. You can see the details of one server here. And you have all this zone D, which is managed to designed to host the Strapi, because there are a lot of structured data, and Strapi is the headless MS that is used to handle structured data. So it has its own infrastructure inside the data center of the UNESCO.
So I will detail a bit about the architecture. So here you have two blue parts. So here you have UNESCO.org with many content types and some satellite websites with different profiles. But some single profile like article and taxonomy sharing, media library and web form library, so are interacting with other websites. In the yellow part, you have all external services. So for SSO, the CRM, to get document from UNESCO, to get the event. So there is many connection to automatically create the country page with many information. In the purple part, you have a chart and graphics for complex graphics that can be handled by clicking on the interface of Drupal. So, because there is a big need for data, so they're using metabase, and after that we embed through a frame the graphics. But in some case, we have interaction with filters on page and filtered data on the iframe. And here you have a specific part for structured data. So I will detail later what is a structured data for UNESCO. But you have to imagine that you have different data that doesn't fit the content type previously anticipated. And they need custom design, they need custom filtering process. So here you have a part for structured data consolidation, and after they are sent and synchronized with the websites that need it. Here you have a special part for old websites, so like World Heritage, Intangible Heritage, that are not part of the new Drupal farm, but are using the theme. Green part, so you have a search engine, useful for every website. And all structured data sites here that will be migrated. So now, not everything is migrated, but a lot of data, and it will continue to have a new website and the architecture to be more and more complex. I would like to share with you as a man on the article sharing. So article sharing is not only article, because it's also some media embedded with article. The same taxonomies that have been used everywhere on UNESCO, because the taxonomy terms that we are using on this website are also used for external tools like CRM in other technology. So for that, they're using the Microsoft Theme Store. The article website and profile is pulling from the Theme Store and sharing all the taxonomy to the website. We can also contribute information for the website, like the main navigation and the alert, if there is a special announcement for every website. For this, we use the entity share module, and thanks to Grim Reaper, that is the main contributor of this module. And this module is using the JSON API. It's very, very useful modules that we are using in many projects, and we'll continue to participate to enhance it. We have the ability to share to multiple destinations, but we are careful to have only one main destination for two reasons. So it's for SEO, because if you have the same content on multiple websites, you have duplicated content in the search engine, and to target which of the website will index the content, because if everyone indexes the content, you will have some problem, and maybe duplicate in the search. So I've already said the Microsoft Tensor, and to optimize the synchronization, because there is many content in different language, so we only check the lastest modified content since the last synchronization. It's very rare, but it can happen sometimes that we have to synchronize everything. It's a very long time process. And to avoid file duplication, so it's a good interesting part. The cluster of servers shares the files, and in a server you have all the websites. So we decided to create a new stream wrapper. So you know the stream wrapper as a public or private. So we made a new stream wrapper to target the location of the files only on the article website, and to share it after to the other website. So only the metadata is shared and the file doesn't move. It avoids a lot of hardware space occupation. And we represent the fly with the JSON API field enhancer to replace the current location with the stream wrapper. Another interesting part was to respond to a very big need to have a dynamic content list that share content from all websites. The main goal of the UNESCO is to have connected websites, so that's why the search is so important for this website, because it's only the common point for all websites. And so that was a fact. Aperture index every content, and contributors are trained to use paragraph in the back office, so they can place many dynamic content before, inside, 2, 3 of this block in the same page. We wanted to have an easy-to-use system for contributors, so they're going to the search page, the filtering, the sorting, the results they want to have, so, and there is many filters to do so. And they only copy past the URL to the paragraph, and after that, the content is exactly the content displayed are exactly the same as a search. But they can custom the display, so they can have grid display, list display, or for geolocated content have a map display. And also they can limit the number of results that they want on the page. A third part that is a big need. So I introduced you the structured data. So structured data, imagine you have some panes to display on the page, and after that you have the number of journalists killed and the inventory of each card of each journalist. So you will not have the same template to show. But all these templates are custom, and there is many. So we can have previously prepared it in Figma. But for each structured data, so we will need to create a custom template, a custom CSS or a custom JavaScript. The first part at the left is the data source. So there is many, because some data from JSON, some from Excel, or maybe some from web format. The main things to do is to consolidate them to have the same structure, or a part of the structure that will be common to the other content of the ecosystem. So that's why we need a migration script. And we are using Strapi so it's a small CMS with JSON exposure, JSON API exposure. to store the data and maybe review it if it's okay, if we have consolidated. After that, other websites that need the structured data they want will grab it from Strapi. So a structured data is a content type that will display each item. But there is maybe in a structured data 100, 1,000 of data. So they will need to be aggregated from one parent content type. So this is a structured data hub. The hub will display the list, have a main page, and have a custom menu. And the configuration to communicate with Strapi. So we say, what is the machine name from Strapi, from where I need to grab the data. And you have some custom display for each data that will be listed, so if you want to add a tag or remove it. But also in the list and grid display there is a big functionality, is to have dynamic filters, because some of the data need filters that it's only for this data. So when you have a painting, so you need to know maybe who painted, which country is from the painter. But if you have a journalist skill in the world, so you want to know where the journalist is born or where he's died, so you need different filters. But that have to be dynamic, so you can't use a search API to say, okay, I want to declare this field. So for that, we made a taxonomy with 3 levels. So the first level is to declare, okay, this is the name of my structured data. The second filter is, this is the filter I want, and which fields are mapped in Strapi for this filter. After that, we are using migrate to import the data, and the values of the filters are imported automatically. And the content are indexed in Solr. This part is for a small problematic, but when you have multiple profiles that share common features, so you don't want to connect to each website to do the configuration, to export it, and after to apply it. So we have UNESCO.org that contains major of functionalities. For many other profiles, it's the same content type from other, from UNESCO.org, but sometimes there is a content type that is different or will be removed. So for that, we are going to UNESCO.org. We are, not the website, but the profile on a local instance. And we are making the configuration, exporting it, and here you have the script that you can grab it after the presentation. So maybe there is a top or the bottom that is cropped, but the main of the script is here to apply the diff of the exported configuration to other profiles, because for each profile you have all the configuration, all the field configuration. There is only small functionality that we have splitted with a config split. Many of functionalities are directly put in each profile, and it's a complete profile.
Okay, thank you for listening. Before going through the results of that, we wanted to say that it was really hard to choose to pick some aspects to show you, because as you can imagine, this is only a few features that we did for UNESCO. It's a 20-month project and it's still going on. So I hope that these editorial choices taught something to you. To talk about the results, you can see that there are 34 new websites since the launch of the first website 2 years ago. We have a new design that is adopted worldwide, all over the UNESCO websites and all over the UNESCO web ecosystem. And the main thing is that they have increased the visits about 25% in terms of SEO, which means that when you add performance, quality, and you have a UX UI that is tailor-made to your users, you immediately see the results. 25% is huge for UNESCO and a redesign. We have trained, not we, but UNESCO, they have trained more than 100 editors worldwide. So more and more people are getting used to the back office and we only have positive returns because it's Drupal 10 and it's Gene or the back office. I think it's Gene, so it's really huge improvements for editors. And the time to market for a new website is less than 2 weeks. And it's if you take the technical time to market, it's 30 minutes. You only need 30 minutes to create a new website. But the time to market is made of content editing, content importing, migration, and configuration on the servers. But now they can produce a site in 2 weeks. And to talk about the feature, the good thing is that we have now only one single base to maintain. So there is strong code base with 8 installation profiles. And that guarantees security because, as you seen yesterday in Anne-Sophie presentation and Francis, we have everything we need about continuous integration to guarantee security. We have a powerful design system that is used by every website, and everything is maintained by a single team. We are the maintainer of the core of the system. There is also one single base to rely on, but this base has to be extended. So in 2022, UNESCO issued a new RFP to get more people in the Web Factory. So there are dev people, front, back, mobile, and also UX, UI, SEO, analytics people. And the target of that is to be able to scale. So now we have this Web Factory, which is stable and reliable, and we can work with multiple actors, but has to be documented, and they need a strong code base, but they can rely on that. And the main goal of that is that we have a flexible model. So the priority is to work inside the factory. So the new contractors, they are pushed to use the installation profiles, to extend them, and to develop it. But you can also only use the design system. If you want to do a WordPress site, you can do it aside and only use the design system. So that's a possibility. And there's also a third possibility for major websites. You can fork one of the installation profile, and you can build a new project upon that. I will show you some 3 examples of that. Right now, 3 sites are in that some use cases. World Heritage site is a Cold Fusion site, which was existing previously, and now it has already been redesigned to use the new design system. So it's really practical. The same thing for intangible heritage. Only it's PHP code, custom PHP, but it uses the new design system. And then you have the core data portal, which is really a huge website for UNESCO. It's a code fork from the Web Factory with regular resyncs. When we update the factory, the core data portal is also updated, and it also respects the design system. So you have these new possibilities. You don't have a strict frame. You have a strong base, but it's not a strict frame where you are inside. You can evolve from that, and all this has to be documented and managed, and that's where we guarantee the code base. So thank you for listening. I think we have 5 minutes left for the question.
Hello. Thanks a lot for the presentation. It was really interesting. Could you eventually elaborate on the choice of Strapi for the content model? Is it something you've used before, or is it something that was used at UNESCO or something like that?
Yeah. So Strapi wasn't used before by UNESCO. It was the advice of the person on the consulting for UNESCO. And it was a good choice, maybe a bit young, but a good choice to have a small place when you can create some field or some structure, put in data into with an API, and after you can consult it, maybe change that some information that you want to normalize. and after that it's a pure API. So it was a very, very small solution to quick edit and aggregate all the data.
There was an interesting figure on one of the first slides, something we don't see all that often. There was mentioned 310 man days, but what was that in practice? Because you mentioned 6 full-time developers front and back.
Yep.
That's 2.5, even just using the 310 man days, that's 2.5 months of development. And you've worked on this for 15 months, 20 months.
Yeah, so we are an agency, so our developers are not working full-time on each project. So that's why it was a big project. What was it?
The thing is, we only put senior and expert developer and architect on this project, and they are not available full time. And if you put too much resources in a short period of time, it only leads to dissipation. And we decided to. It's like you cannot make a baby in 1 month. You need 9 months of thinking. So we decided to have this space because it also respected the internal schedule of UNESCO. So it's not a big man-day ratio, but when you put all the expertise of senior profiles, it's worth it. Any more questions? So I think that the video and the slides will be available in a few days. So if you want to take some information about the infrastructure, about the config split scripts that Jean shared with you, we'll be able to, and we'll be happy to share them with you. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, you can.